SBG enthusiasts from around the world, thank you for joining us here on P&P. Thank you for your support, and I hope everybody had a wonderful Christmas and is going to have a terrific New Year. That's a fitting lead-in, as that is what we are here to talk about today. So on today's episode of P&P, given the fact that it is the final episode for 2017, this is at time of filming, this will actually end up being number 31, which is impressive in itself. Can't believe I've been able to maintain momentum with this, and it's all thanks to you guys tuning in. But what I wanted to do was do a quick year in review for the OHA, go over some of the absolute highlights of the year, and talk about some of the amazing experiences that I know I've had, and I'm sure I can speak for all those at the OHA in stating that they've had just as much fun as I have, for sure. So let's get the formalities of P&P out of the way. As you guys know, every week this starts off the same, and I thought it would be fitting to go to the classic Rolling Rock for number 31, the final one of the year, 2017. We're going to bring her in with style. Cheers. Here's to you. Delicious. Smooth. The official beer of the OHA. Tyler's bang on the money. One of these days we are going to get a sponsorship from these guys, because that's our beer of choice. So, year in review. What happened? What went on? For those of you who have been following the channel, you're going to know. For those of you who are new to the channel, you may not know some of the shenanigans and adventures that the OHA got into this year. Needless to say, it's been a absolutely fantastic year for the hobby. And when I say hobby, I mean SBG in particular. We've seen an absolute resurgence in the game, a tremendous amount of interest and momentum going into 2018. We saw Games Workshop come back and fully support, the game itself with current and new releases. Forge World really stepped up, produced some absolutely stunning models. We've got battle companies that have just been released. Rumors abound with regards to the timeline for the new rulebook. A change to the game name itself. Moving from the Hobbit and Lord of the Rings brand to a Middle-earth strategy battle game brand, which is going to be absolutely exciting. So, with that being said, there was lots to cover and lots to discuss, over the last 31 plus weeks, because I don't think I nailed every week on the head. There may have been some gaps in there, but 31 episodes worth of discussion, and that was sort of midway through the year. We didn't start doing P&P until November, I believe. Or no, I'm sorry, the first video the OHA produced was November 7th, 2016, and that was covering the ever-loved SBG magazine produced by our counterparts at the GBHL, Damien and Tom, who do an absolutely fantastic job with those magazines. Our modest reviews do not do them justice. They are absolutely stunning publications, and if you haven't checked them out, you should check them out. But that was actually the very first video that the OHA ever covered, and we covered every magazine, every issue. We went on to cover the new Ironfoot releases that came out. So we had Dane, Lord of the Iron Hills, as well as, the Ironfoot on Foot. Ironfoot on Foot? Yeah, Ironfoot on Foot, sure. The Ballista, and things like that. The video series then shifted into preparations that went into sort of what we called a recruitment and demo presentation that we were doing for Hot Lead 2017. So at Hot Lead, we obviously took the Goblin Town board, which some of you may remember. If not, that's the back finger. Go back in the catalog. You can have a look at the Goblin Town board. It is still floating around somewhere. I think Derek or Evan has it right now. I'm sure it'll be making its way back to the Forge shortly. We also had OHA George, who, again, if you're following the channel, you know his work. It is absolutely stunning. If you've seen the pictures on the Facebook page, everything he touches basically turns into terrain gold. The guy essentially shits her starts molds and blocks constantly, and allows him to produce this stunning stuff. The Hot Lead was our very first event. We had some what I think would be deemed as some pretty stunning demo tables there, and all we were doing was trying to build interest in specifically the Hobbit and Lord of the Rings SBG. And that was sort of how we showcased the game with those two demo tables. We had terrain, we had t-shirts, we had all kinds of stuff there ready to go. Met some awesome people, and some very special people, one of which would go on to become one of the cornerstones of the OHA, and that is Evan. Most of you within the community are going to know who Evan is. He's a fantastic guy. He is a key member in the OHA, and certainly contributes and makes the OHA what it is today. So very happy to have met him at Hot Lead. We also met Derek and Michael of the OSBGL, and that was great. Those are two individuals who have gone out of their way to support the OHA and make an effort to be at our events, even the distance that we are in comparison to where they are. They're always there to make the effort and to take part. So a couple really strong relationships there with respect to those two gentlemen. Hats off. I know Michael's event's coming up beginning of January here, and I'm really pulling to try to get to it, but I don't know if I'm gonna be able to. Shifting from Hot Lead, we went on to the Forge construction, which was where we are today. This was not here many moons ago. This was something that was purpose built so that I had a proper hobby area, something that was well lit, and a work area for essentially my hobbying and SBG and OHA stuff. It has since become what we call the Forge, but it's also where we do our bat reps. We have a gaming area set up, and look for some changes coming to that in the new year. There's some exciting developments coming up, but you're gonna have to stay tuned to see that. From there, we went on to George's stunning Amon Hen table, and our first major tournament announcement, which was our attendance to Nova 2017. So obviously work began on that army. You can follow that process through. I still have to get back and finish the Iron Hills painting guides, but I was under some pressure to get the army painted and ready to go for Nova. After that, we actually had the very first episode of P&P, which aired on the 26th of May 2017. And that was just sort of a ramble video talking about the new segment, where it was going to go. And I think we've remained fairly true to the, I don't know if you'd want to call it a mission statement or not, but, we definitely cover a gambit of issues and things affecting the hobby, new releases, right down to some of the videos we've done have been more related to staying motivated within the hobby and keeping that hobbying tempo up, things of that nature. So I know I certainly have enjoyed P&P. I've enjoyed doing it, and I look forward to continuing it in the new year, hopefully with as much frequency, but time will tell on that. So I had to take notes because there was a lot to try to remember here, and if I do forget anybody during the course of this who you obviously feel you've made an impact on the OHA, feel free to chime in. I'm not neglecting you out of ignorance. There's so much to cover, so much information, so it's hard to keep it all straight. So after that initial episode of P&P, we started to look at the Edoras board that George had constructed for Bog, which was an outdoor, completely fluff, fun event held actually right here on the farm, and that was the Battle of Glenwood. It was held, I believe, July 22nd or 23rd. I think it was the 22nd. And I know, personally speaking, it was an absolute blast. We had a terrific bunch of guys that came down that took part in that. We had beverages on ice, food, tents set up to keep guys in the shade. It was hot as heck that day. And hats off to all the guys that trooped it out. Luckily we did have some shade, but it was brutally warm. Some of the guys, Evan included, decided that it was an appropriate time to strip and jump into the pool. So there was some cool off time there, but it was an absolute blast. We had guys that stayed stayed late into the night, as well as individuals who ended up staying over here at the farm, and it was just a great time. We actually did a bog after hours recap. Viewer discretion advised, but go check that out. It was an absolute blast, and definitely looking forward to repeating it this year. So look for that this year on the calendar. Which is another thing, given the way the OHA is progressing, I would say it would be prudent for us to, in fact, get a calendar up and ready to go so that everybody can know, when things are and plan around them accordingly. So, look, there's obviously going to be some discussion on that between the members of the OHA, but look for that coming in the new year itself. After Bog, there was a big push for Nova. Obviously, it was shortly after Bog, that end of August, beginning of September, that myself, Antonio, and Evan all traveled down to Washington to go and have a look at what the Americans had to offer at Nova. It was my first year in attendance, and I can confidently say it was well worth the trip. For those of you who are on the fence, it is bar none the best SBG experience that you are going to find on this side of the Atlantic. And Devin does an excellent job of putting that event together, running it. It was smooth, very professional. Devin is a consummate professional in everything that he does, I would say. And the SBG side of it is no different. Very, very impressed with how things were run. The accommodations, the whole experience in general. The actual convention itself was amazing. Deals and vendors and all kinds of interesting stuff. They had demos for the new Legion game. I mean, if you're a war gamer, even if you're just SBG, you can certainly appreciate a lot of what's going on at Nova. So I would highly recommend that. It was an absolute blast. I had a wonderful time with Tony. Made some new friends while we were there, and I'm thrilled to say that. Meeting the likes of Sam Jeffrey, Dan Entwistle, Mr. Adam Troke himself, terrific guy. Just stand up gentlemen, and it was an absolute pleasure to be able to sit down and have a beer with you guys and just chat. So it was definitely one of the highlights of my hobbying year, without a doubt. That being said, we all, I think, obviously within the correct age range, essentially grew up with Adam Troke. I mean, that guy was in White Dwarf all the time. If I'm not mistaken, he was a staff writer, if not the editor of White Dwarf for a while. But I mean, I remember as a kid his picture in battle reports and all kinds of stuff. So it was an absolute honor to be able to meet that gentleman. And further to that, just an absolute down to earth regular guy. It was absolutely priceless just to sit there and chat. So can't say enough about the Brits. They're just top-notch guys. Looking forward to having them over hopefully this year. Rumors are abound of that, so possibly there'll be some OHA GBHL shenanigans on the docket for this year. We'll have to wait and see. What else? And of course, obviously, great to meet our American counterparts. Very nice people and top-notch guys for sure. So it was a quick turnaround after that. Once the return from Nova, it was right back into the tournament scene with our first official OHA tournament, which was Scouring the West Farthing, and that was held in Chatham, Ontario, at the KegsCon convention, and I must say it was an absolute blast. The adventures that the OHA group got into the night before, the eating of cupcakes and the like. If you haven't seen that, that's the back finger again. Go check out that video. It essentially sums up what the OHA is about. We are out here to 100% have fun, first and foremost. And if we have time to, while we're having fun, if we get to roll some dice, and that's a positive as well. But great fun was had by all, and more importantly, we introduced a new member to the OHA by pulling our friend Tyler into the mix, and he has been a valuable resource to the OHA and just an all-around great guy. So, it was definitely my pleasure to welcome him into the OHA, as I know it was for George, and looking forward to seeing what he has to contribute this year going forward. What else? Oh, and of course, it wouldn't be appropriate to talk about scouring the West Farthing without touching on George's tables. So all I'm going to say is go take a look at the pictures, take a look at Facebook, take a look at the videos. Cheers to you, George. Stunning work this year. Can't wait to see what you have in store for us next year. I'm sure that projects and things are abound in your head for sure. So looking forward to what you have in store. But I really want to take a minute and recognize what you've done, because it's been a huge contribution to the OHA. It has made every event just so immersive for the players. I know personally, I think myself very fortunate to be able to play on those type of boards and to have access to that kind of terrain, because it just sets the game off to a new level. So hats off to you, George. Well done. Cannot wait to see what you got in store for us, and cheers to you, buddy. So moving on to that. A month ago we began our battle report series, so hopefully we're going to keep that fairly regular, getting some battle reports filmed and getting content up that way. Gameplay, of course, with the recent release of Battle Companies, I would definitely look for some content relating to that. Some sort of narrative campaign has been floated around. Definitely interested in focusing there as related to theme. That is exactly what the OHA is really striving for here, is that thematic feel, engaging the player and really immersing them into Tolkien's world. And moving forward into 2018, that's going to be 100% the focus of the OHA, is that sense of immersion, that sense of giving players the feeling of being in Middle Earth, and going forward any way we can do that. That's going to be our focus. We're still going to do our 2 competitive events, but we're going to be focusing on recruitment, and we're going to be focusing on theme and telling a story. So we're going to come up with a story, and we're going to tell it through the table. And thank goodness we got a guy like George to bring those tables to life, and we'll see how it goes from there. Of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention. Hold on a minute. I would be remiss if I did not mention Council of the Wise. That was, for me, my first OSBGL tournament. Had a blast. Derek's a great guy. Put on a great event. It was fun. It was different. He had some interesting scenarios. And again, the people there were absolutely awesome. And then to finally wrap it up, we've seen the introduction of OHA George's Terrain Workshop. I'm excited to see where that goes and what project he branches into next. Right now, obviously, the Herstarts molds are first and foremost, as George uses those to great effect to help bring Tolkien's world to life on the table. So if that's something that interests you, you guys definitely got to check that out. It is a fantastic series, and I can't wait to see as he gets more comfortable with the filming, see where it goes and what he gets into. Coming up, he's got such a wide skill set that he can really bring some stuff to the table. I know there's been some discussion about some other members joining the OHA, so look forward to that in the new year. It's just been a fantastic year. I can't say enough about it. The adventures and the fun that has been had has been terrific. And I think really it's a testament to this community. For those of you who are coming from a different gaming background, I can say that you are not going to find a tighter knit community than this, and a more friendly community. I was absolutely shocked and stunned to see just how terrific it was. I had heard about it. I had been told about it by George coming in. But to actually get to events, meet the people, go to something like Nova, and to be able to have that bond right away, to be able to meet 3-4 guys from Great Britain and instantly have a bond, have something to talk about, and see that grow from just being SBG to, people that to this day I'm still talking to is a testament to this hobby, really. It's absolutely fantastic. There's so many terrific people that make all of this possible, whether we're talking, from a Games Workshop standpoint, the Middle-earth SBG team pouring their heart and soul into this product line, and handling it the way that they have, when you've got to balance and juggle the realities of running a business and, obviously dealing with something that is truly loved by these individuals. I can tell you that after talking to Adam Troke, there is no one that I have spoken to with the same level of passion relating to this stuff. Like this man eats, breathes, sleeps Middle-earth SBG, and Middle-earth in general. So absolutely fantastic individual to have at the helm of the ship, and I think we're in very safe hands when it comes to that. That being said, it's not limited to just the Middle-earth SBG team. The amount of work and effort that has been put into this game during, I think, what some of us called the dark times, whether we're talking DCHL, DCHL Devon, or the GBHL, to keep this game afloat and moving forward. Hats off to you guys for doing that. I came in late, so as I was coming into this game, it had been essentially non-supported, and just right as I got into the game, all of a sudden Games Workshop sort of flipped everything on its head. Started pushing it, started releasing stuff, which was absolutely fantastic. So I feel like I'm blessed to have come into it at the time that I have, because I've really been able to enjoy the rising up of SBG, out of the metaphorical ashes, I guess you could say. So excited to see the direction of it for sure, but very important to recognize the people who essentially never forgot about the game and kept supporting it and kept playing it and kept driving this community. So it's important to recognize those guys. People like, within the GBHL, Damien Tom, you got individuals like Mr. Clark putting on Articon, for crying out loud, the biggest SBG event in the world, which is absolutely stunning. Would love to get over there one of the days. Hopefully you can keep her going so I can make it. But all those guys, all the personalities on the Facebook group, the Ed Balls, the Giblins, all the people that chime in and support and almost nurture new players coming in who are always there to answer questions. I'm part of a lot of different groups for different game systems, and I can tell you that the patience of the SBG group to answer questions that have maybe already been answered, but the amount of response and the pleasure that's taken in answering those questions just shows the difference between the groups. There's other game systems where, someone will ask a question that maybe has already been asked, and instead of a polite response, it's go look at it, stupid, or something to that effect. Go look it up, which, I think speaks volumes to our community and the manner in which everything gets handled within our community. So that's how I want to end it right there. Is I want to end it on a cheers to the community. I want to cheers the the Andreases of the world, the James Clark, the Damians, the Toms, the Adam Marcells of Blackfire Production here in Canada, doing his part to promote it on the Canadian side, the DCHL guys, the Chicago Hobbit League, the New York Hobbit League, the Carolinas. I could be here all day listing out people, the Irish community. There's so many different communities. The BC guys, Jen, I didn't forget about you, buddy. Cheers. Don't want to forget about you, but I want to wish all of you in the community the best New Year and the best hobby New Year that you can possibly have. It's going to be a big year for SBG, and I look forward to seeing where it goes with all of you, and being able to follow your adventures in the different groups and the different the different social media venues that are available to me to follow all of this great stuff. So cheers to the community, cheers to y'all, happy New Year. That's it for P&P in 2017, and we will see you Buttes in 2018. Cheers.